So, I recently watched Shadow and Bone. I quite enjoyed it. It's a good series. But as a true crafter, somewhere halfway the series I was like, those keftas would make a really nice daily wear coat. So I was thinking about ideas about what I wanted to do for the kefta, and at the end of the series that had turned into a full let's cosplay the Darkling, because I absolutely do not have a type of characters that I cosplay. However, the Darkling's kefta, if I want to make it, I probably want to do it full in gold work embroidery. I have never done any embroidery before, and this is going to be a humongous project. So I'm still a bit doubting on whether I'm actually going to cosplay him. And you know what happens when you're not sure if you're actually going to cosplay something? You're starting on it anyways. So I have already started making Kirigan's ring, and that's what this video will be about. I'm going to show you how I made the ring for my potential Kirigan cosplay. So without further ado, let's get crafting. With the reference images on hand, we can start crafting. The entire base of this ring will be made from worbla, and we are going to start by determining the size of the base band. For sturdiness, this band will be made with a double layer of worbla. After cutting the two strips out, they are stuck to each other and wrapped around my finger, and the band is closed up. Next, we can start adding the two raised edges. For this, we cut two really small strips and stick them to the edges of the band. Then we can add the claw part of the ring. It is a bit of trial and error on the dimensions, but I cut an elongated triangle to serve as the base. After that, we can start making use of the fact that you can clay with worbla. A strip of scrap worbla was cut and rolled together in the shape of the triangle and then stuck on top of it. And, looking at the references, there is a groove on either side of the claw, so that was molded in too. This could then in its entirety be stuck on the band of the ring. I left a small overhang at the end of the triangle so it could be partially attached on the inside of the ring for extra sturdiness. And that's it for the base. Let's start decorating. At the base of the claw bit there is a small nail-like circle. So another piece of scrap worbla was molded to look like a nail, and this could then also be stuck on the band at the base of the claw, leaving enough space so a rhinestone could be added later. And that's it currently for Kirigan's ring. I tried putting on the filigree, but anything I can make with worbla is just way too big for this. I mean, it already has to be tiny filigree, and my fingers are already tiny, and then the filigree has to be ridiculously tiny. But hey, it's a ring, it has a nice sharp tip, and it fits me really well. I have to twist it pretty hard to get off, but I can get it off. I can put it on my thumb and give it a nice scratch. For the second part of the ring, we're going to need to make tiny squigglies. At first I didn't know exactly what they were, but someone in the Shadow and Bone cosplay Discord was so kind as to send me a picture of a ring they bought somewhere. So yeah, it's basically going to be tiny squigglies. I already tried to make them with worbla, but worbla couldn't roll small enough to make them. So we're going to try and do it with friendly plastic instead. Which means I'm going to need more heat gunning, and we'll have to be slightly quick about it because today is going to be a really warm day, so I want to have this done before the sun really turns into this room. Anyway, as I already did some friendly plasticking before, we've got some leftover bits. So I'm just going to roll those out. This stuff really does stick to everything, so it's going to be fun to work with. Because these squigglies are super tiny, I don't expect that I'm going to make them exactly as on the picture, but we're just going to try and see if we can make something like it. To make sure this thing doesn't roll anywhere and I can heat it up a bit further, I'm sticking it to the other bit of friendly plastic. So it shouldn't roll away now. There we go, that works a lot better. Now all I need to make sure is that it doesn't stick to the paper, which can... never mind. So I think I'm going to try and make only the last squiggly, which has all the fanning bits. I think with the width of this, that is already going to take up this entire area and already enough of a challenge to put on here. So let's see if we can put that on there. I think the easiest is to make the entire bottom part from one squiggly. Yeah, like that. Now we need to make sure that we can actually get it on there. And then I have to flip it, and then we'll just stick it on here, I guess. It's not the prettiest, but it's better than anything so far. Now I want two more to go that way and that way. This one doesn't have to be heated up that much because it just doesn't have to be shaped that much, and this is way too long. Slowly getting there, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it doesn't look too good, but my fingers are tiny. I think actually it looks pretty okay. For reference, we're really working on small scale here. The thing is now that I have to replicate this on the other side. This side is actually turning out already a lot more delicate than that side. Yeah, now two more of those stripes. I'm thinking if I just fold this. I can just put all of this on in one go. So on the side that we did second, it became a bit more of a clump than I had hoped, but nonetheless I think it still looks okay. And on the other side, it's just not that refined, but again, I think it looks pretty okay. I mean, right now it shows extra clearly because it's white on black, but soon it will all be silver, so the details show up less anyway. And I mean, it's something so tiny. Honestly, I don't mind if it's slightly imperfect. So that means that the next step is to paint this entire thing silver. This is what the ring looks like after a few more coats of silver paint, which means that it's time for the last coat of paint, which is a black wash kind of coat. For that I grabbed a simple black acrylic paint, which I watered down pretty far so you get a rather watery kind of paint. What we can do then is grab a tiny bit of paint and make sure that we can paint it in between all of the cracks. And then we grab a piece of toilet paper and we can slightly remove the paint again, which means that the paint is left in all the edges and we get the kind of weathered effect that I'm looking for. Then we can proceed to do this for the entire ring. Personally, I quite like the look of the black over the silver, so I try to make sure that I have some paint everywhere. With the black on top of it, you can also see less color difference between the swirlies and the rest of the ring, because that's of course made from a different material, so that ties it in as well. And with that, I think we've got a pretty nice Darkling ring. There is still a gemstone missing here, but I'm only going to add that later as I don't currently have it yet. And that means this is it. I hope it was informative. If you really liked it, please consider subscribing. If you really liked it, you can support my crafting addiction on Ko-Fi. And thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.